Welcome to 2021, where everything is normal, nothing's weird in our capital, and we're just here to talk about Fab, Monarch, Market, and Meta. Welcome to episode 26. I think we start with Market just because I want to compare this game to DBS, the Digimon game that just came out. I'm in Force of Will, but just other card games in general, and what the market is doing in this game, and how it's unprecedented for the values to be spiking the way they are, regardless of the reasoning, short prints, whatever you want to say, the reasoning. But for a product to be unseasoned as this product is, and to be at the values and to not truly gain values through time, I think is very interesting. And I don't know if it's just the place that the world is in, or what has caused this mass movement, or is it just the social media? This is the social media fear of missing out, which caused such large spikes in product in such short times. So I kind of want to open with that. And if one of you wants to jump in with any thoughts of what you think has caused this phenomenon that we have never seen in this type of game, these types of jumps
Yeah.
in prices.
I think the thing for me that sticks out about this game is it feels it feels rare. Like the item, like the stuff feels rare, but sometimes I don't know if that's a product of things actually being rare or just a product of like not even the market instability, but just a lack of market. Like people don't really totally have a grasp on the market and values, and it feels like people are afraid to sell things at a reasonable cost. And as a result, like a lot of people seem to have moved to like TCG player because they're like, well, TCG is that's you can sell there and you get it's all guaranteed money, guaranteed purchasing, it's safety for everybody involved, which I think that's probably the weirdest thing for me because coming from DBS as my primary like buying and selling, and even I've bought a bunch of stuff at Digimon, I've bought things when we played Star Wars Destiny, sold things. I think the interesting thing about DBS is that the DBS Facebook marketplace markets are just swamped with stuff all the time. If you just sit down after an 8-hour day and just scroll back through things and just put from recent listings, you can scroll for an hour and just see tons of listings. And some of the stuff is actually super rare. It's super expensive. It's secret rares, right? It's hard to find stuff. Other stuff is just play sets of foil cards that people are unloading for $10. And I think that's the thing that throws me sometimes too, is I kind of expect the marketplace to have a bunch of activity of just things that people are selling, and so it's accessible. But it feels like a lot of people are selling on official sites, which is fine. That's how people want to do business. I know, like, for me personally, my experiences from buying from people and selling to people in this game, people definitely seem a little more like leery, which I don't know if that's a product of an inexperienced like marketplace buyer for a TCG. I maybe I'm just like crazy when I come to buying stuff. Like if a guy sells me a $10 card, I'm not paying track and throw that sucker in a top loader in a plain white envelope and ship it across the country, baby. Let's do this thing for $1. But in Fab, it's like they spend $10 on a card and people are like, I'll just pay tracking. Can I do goods and services? I'll pay the fees. I'm like, it's a $10 card. You're gonna pay $17 for it by the time we're all said and done. Like I'll do whatever you want because you're the buyer. But at the end of the day, like, man, there is not confidence in the market at all.
But by the time they receive that $10 card, it's worth 25.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
That's
it could
crazy
be,
part.
right? Like,
Not a rainbow foil unlimited majestic. You know what I mean? Like so this card game has caused me to think about this way more than any other card game. And this is my fourth that I've like invested in a considerable amount of like time and energy, both playing wise, picking up the newest product and stuff. Like this is, I think, my fourth in my adult life, right? Not counting like Pokemon and like the Yu-Gi-Oh that I played, you know, when I didn't have a fully developed frontal lobe. Sorry for any Yu-Gi-Oh players out there, but not sorry.
Don't apologize.
The market doing what it's doing. One, you've got COVID, you've got people at home. And I think a lot of this has kind of already been floating around and known. So I'm just kind of rehashing it a little bit, but You've got people stuck at home with nothing really to do. You've got the current situation where we're having money injected into our economy through stimulus checks and packages, and like that money is just, I feel like I always post a ton of stuff for sale the moment I receive my stimulus, because I'm like, all right, people are getting free money, let's go buy it, give it to me, I want my stimulus to double. So I think that is definitely contributing to, as far as like just this game being an outlier from like other new games that have come out. I think a lot of it has to do too with the fact that LSS really did put a big emphasis on like the collectability of the game, because I think they did the collectability right. I think they're executing it, like they're still getting their feet under them in the execution of how they want the collectability to function long term, because I think it is hindering the player right now. But the way that they have, like, they announced the alpha run, they've got the cold foils that are only going to be in the alpha set. Then they've got the playable sets and unlimited coming out afterwards. So like the alpha runs are like really desirable, and I think that just causes like immediate buyout. But I think that that is something that, like, that strict, like clear cut, this is the collectible, this is the non-collectible, hasn't really been done before. Magic kind of goes back and forth, like older Magic cards and like both like the limited print run and like unlimited print run sets. Like there's value in both. Magic's kind of a different beast altogether because they've got the reserve list and all that. But looking at what LSS is doing, they've kind of got, like, I feel a little bit like an unwieldy monster that grew too fast right now, that they're still like trying to, rein in, get back like control over, like the fact that it's a game that they made and they spent a ton of time making. But I kind of go back to the fact that I'm just glad that they are selling what they're selling, because that means that the game's going to exist next year. Whereas like a new company releasing right before COVID comes out, it's like, well, looks like our company's going under because global pandemic that just killed like all of our stuff. It's like, nope, they found a way to create that sense of value and emphasize it and use it. But I think that it is not seen, and what it's doing to the secondary market can look really, really scary to people that just want to play. And I think that a lot of it is just due to, like, literally, I think all of it stems from the global pandemic. I think that there's probably a different way, pandemic aside, I feel like there's a different way that LSS announces the alpha run. I feel like there's a different way that they announce the unlimited runs and how those are going to be released. I feel like they emphasize more of a slow burn on like getting new player bases built up, and they have OP that's more effective. Like there's a lot of things that I think they naturally wanted to do differently that they weren't able to, and they defaulted to, let's just make sure the shit sells. And
which you can't blame them for.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't blame them for that at all. I think that they'll course correct as stuff gets fixed.
So my whole thinking on this, and this comes down to risk aversion and risk tolerance. I personally cannot fathom when somebody posts a bunch of crucibles, all the cold foils and all the foils. I forget what they called it. The full set, one of every foil and crucible, and somebody's saying, "Well, that's $20,000." There is me personally. If you do that, that's fine, because that's your risk. Your risk tolerance allows that. If I have $20,000 to burn on an investment, I'm going to go buy $20,000 in 3M stock. I'm going to take my 3% dividend return every year. I'm going to roll it back into more stock. The stock has a healthy growth, and that's what I'm going to do, because that's my risk aversion. I just cannot fathom the prices being paid on it. It blows my mind. I don't fully comprehend it. And you can explain, and I've read all the posts and the people that this is why. To me, because it's a game, I don't understand. I understand paying more for cards. When a card comes out in DBS, Cell Xeno comes out and just starts wrecking decks. It's an amazing card, and it doubles in price. It goes from 120 to 240 overnight because it's winning tournaments. That makes sense to me. But when cards double that are not being played, or there's no precedent just because of its collectability in this card game, and they're not doubling, they're tripling, quadrupling 5 times. I mean, I sold a plasma barrel shotgun for $20 on TCG Player, and it was a people are asking 120 3 days later. I'm fine with selling it for $20. I thought that was a good price for that card.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I see what we've seen from Destiny, DBS, Digimon to some extent, right? I would say Digimon has like more of a reasonable, it's all like pre-release stuff right now. But even within the pre-release for Digimon, you've seen popular cards costing more. You've seen non-popular cards like still be overpriced because it's pre-release stuff, but it's not
Right.
like it's the cards winning tournaments because there's tournaments.
Right.
You know, you see those cards going for more money, and I think that I don't care what Alpha does. I don't care what those prices do. People want to put up $1,000 for the cold foils like the week after they drop because, you know, that's fine. Do whatever you want with that. I'll get a box if I can get it at MSRP, and if I get a cool cold foil that I want, I'll keep it. If not, whatever. My plan is to kind of get like 1 or 2 cold foils that I think I want from that set. But Unlimited is what I think is going to eventually look more like those other games, where it's the unlimited cards that are really good and popular and winning tournaments as the card pool deepens, because just not a deep card pool right now, and that's fine. But as the card pool deepens, it will look more like DBS, like Destiny did, like Digimon does. Yeah.
Which
I agree with that.
Yeah. I think some of it is the playability of it, for sure. I fall in the category where like I am 100% with Jason. I sometimes like I just get annoyed with the whole market thing because I just literally could care less. Like it is to me personally, and again, this is me personally. I'm not going to spend the money on that. But at the same time, I don't have an issue spending money on stuff. Like I overspend on stupid things all the time when it comes to card games. Like in DBS, I was like, I'm going to deck. So it's like I'm buying common cards that I can get for 12 cents. I'm buying a foil version of it for $1.20 because I'm a ham. Like I just wanted to have my deck be
Play
shiny.
it shiny.
So I chose to do it. But that's because like for me personally, the shine, like I want to shine while I'm playing my cards. I want them to look nice. I want that deck to just I want to flex, right? When I'm playing, I want to play high rarity because it just looks good. That card looks better in foil than it does in not. But that's because like again, it's a 12-cent card versus $1.20. So buying 4 of them, I'm going to spend an extra $4 or $5. But in my brain, $4 or $5 to play them isn't anything because I get to enjoy it and I'm going to play it. Like I've made it very clear, like from the beginning of this whole thing, I'm a player and I just want to play games. Like that's all I want to do. And I don't care about I don't care about how the deck looks as long as I'm winning with it as well. Then if I win with it and I really like it and I can work my way slowly towards like a foiled out deck, I'm all about that. But like, I just want to play cards, man. Like I don't care.
Well, I don't think that
what they're
like
worth.
the unlimited
Like,
market doesn't exist yet, which is the thing, right? Like the
Yeah.
unlimited market, like there's no when a tournament scene starts up, I can promise you that Majestics that are in like the top 3 classes, like those Majestics that are being run are going to go for a higher price in
Yep.
foil, even necessarily, right? Like maybe the non-foil Majestics
Yeah.
all stay about the same, which is something that
Once,
you see.
but you're right. That market hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, it
And-
doesn't exist, so it's
Yeah.
not even worth
And-
really talking about or
and I
even
will
getting
tell-
into.
Right. And I'll tell people right now, don't go out and spend $150, $160 on limited boxes, especially when they're going to be out here in February. And
Yeah.
hopefully by the time those
Yeah.
boxes come, we'll be doing it in person. So you don't even need them. So we're going to transition right into meta on this topic. Right now, this Saturday. So this will come out live on Friday, the 8th. On the 9th, there is a tournament being put on by company Bash Armory event by Boards and Swords. So it's an armory tournament. It's going to be held on TTS. They're not requiring cards, pictures of deck lists, or anything like that. They just want people to play. So I signed up. I know Mark signed up for it. I'm pretty excited to do it. We missed the last Cloak and Dagger. I was in the previous 2. I was able to make cut in both of those, going 3-1. But I missed the last one, and there was no wizards in that, which shocked me. So I don't know what you guys think. Is it just there's not that many wizard players, or how does a wizard not make it in in Top Cut. And I wish we had more the numbers of what happened there, but
Mhm.
that shocked me in Blitz.
Yeah, I think Wizard is just one of those characters that's it's complicated to play. Like I haven't played a ton of Wizard. I've obviously seen you play a ton of it, and then I've played it some. Like I have a Wizard deck put together for constructed in like physically, and then I've played a few games here and there with it. And I think it's just I think it's a complicated deck. I think it's the deck most perfectly suited for Blitz that probably needs a lot more cards. Like it's good and constructed, right? But then like somebody who knows how to play it tends to play into it well in classic constructed, and it's a little harder to manipulate the difference in life totals because the percentage is the same, but like 10 life is a lot when you're trying to get someone from 40 to 0 versus 5 life when you're only trying to get them from 20 to 0, because that like OTK range for wizards is anywhere from like 10 to 14. It's like all you got to do is get them to take a few and a couple times, and then you're there. Like you're on the brink of OTK. Because I think that's the other thing is
happened to me versus
yeah.
Dave.
Yep.
I went in thinking at 14 that unless there's more than one avenue to get to 14, but he did it. He pulled off 14 on, was it turn 2 of the game?
Yeah.
It was super early in the
and,
game.
And I think even beyond that, like if you watched him in the one game, I don't remember who it was against, but there was like one game where he basically just one turn he had it, so he broke everything except his boots, and he used the node and his staff and everything, and he just did like 12 to push like 9 through, and then it's like, and now you're in single digits. So I basically win. It's just a matter of how many turns until I win, because at that point, even if he took 3 damage at that point, he's well out of range of an OTK himself, but he can absolutely just time it and line up that last like 8 or 10 damage.
Yeah, it was painful playing Benji into him. I did make some tweaks to it, but it does actually surprise me that Wizard wasn't in that. Just because, to Blake's point, it's such a strong Blitz deck, right? Like it really, really shines in Blitz, I think. And what did end up topping that?
I thought it was it Kasai? Cassie? However you want to say that.
Yeah,
I think Kasai. Yeah, I think when you're talking like a Blitz format, like Kasai is good into the field because she's really like the cost is really low in the deck. So because of her sword attacks being cheap, she's able to basically, you need one resource and go again every turn to be able to use the sabers. And it's like that's so good because it's basically you're getting a similar effect. You have to pitch one card and then you have to get go again. So it's real similar to like what Ninja does with Kadachi, except it's 2/2 and potentially 3/3. So if you try to block it with a 2 shield, the 2 block attack action, you're still taking one over the top. And it's like one of those decks that's really cheap. So then if you have a turn where you can like block up with armor, or you just get a little ahead and then you can reprise one thing or just stack a bunch and swing with one for like 9 and then swing with the other one still for 2. It's so much pressure to put on somebody because the deck is so cheap. You're able to run it basically all red yellow. And I think that's where like that deck shines, is the fact that like Wizard is capable of the OTK, and I think Kasai is capable of just the absolute like always winning the war of attrition against a lot of decks, because she's also a warrior. So guess what? All of her blocks are 300 cards that are warrior cards, and her armor is absurd because warrior armor is stupid. It's 2 block on the chest. If you run the blade hold, it's 2 block on the arms. It's 1 block on the legs. It's, depending on what you run. So it's like you can get like 8 block out of armor from a warrior, which is absurd when you look at like a Blitz deck, because it's like extra health, right?
I really hope that they give warrior some support in Monarch. Warrior really needs some help. It's bothering me.
Ira won that. Ira won that tournament.
I was gonna say, I thought like, because I've been following quite a few there's been some Ira and Benji builds that have really been interesting me, and I actually like my Benji build that I was running on stream, that I think after talking with Dave, I think that like just upping my equipment, because I didn't have the equipment in the deck, and I was like, I'll just go 2, it'll be fine, I'll be able to put pressure on, and then I didn't, and then I lost. I think just running the 4 armor pieces, the null rune armors, might actually, I don't know if I'm going to change the deck before playtesting, just the armor changes. But yeah, no, I like the The Ira list I tried. Super interesting. Actually, that's what my Benji list is kind of based off of. I Frankensteined a top Ira list and a top Benji list. Kind of changed it up because I don't love the all blue and Benji, or like the focus on blue and Benji, because I don't like not taking cards from my opponent. I almost want, like, you almost want them to block or force blocks, and just giving them like, I'm doing 7 damage to you that's not blockable. It's like, okay, cool. Well, you get 5 cards to play with now because you've got a full hand that you couldn't use, and now an arsenal card.
Yeah.
So is that going to come at me for more than 7? Probably, into any meta deck. So
As I say, I haven't looked at the Ira lists because obviously I don't play a lot of Ninja. I rely on you guys to play the decks into me to learn them. But like the Ira second attack gaining +1, I assume you're just going Kodachi with Ira, not with her. You're not doing her sword, right?
No. Yeah, you don't.
You're doing
the sword.
Yeah,
kind
you Kodachi.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, the sword's a bad Kodachi.
Yeah, the sword's a bad Kodachi. They side the Zephyr. They also include the Zephyr, and I'm pretty sure it's for the wizard matchup.
So the reason why is because a wizard doesn't run defense reactions. So on your second swing, you're getting the +1, so it'll always be a 4, so you can't break it.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So that was the point.
And then Dave defense reaction me. I was like,
right, and I might check that in as well. In my I have one in right now that I put in specifically for the warrior matchup.
So that makes sense in Ira. It doesn't make sense in Benji. Benji doesn't give it the inherent plus. So
Ira does.
Yeah, Ira does.
Yeah.
It gives her weapons the plus. Benji does not. Okay. It's attack actions. So that makes sense then. Because I was looking at Benji, I was like, I don't know why people would run like Zephyr in this, but it makes sense. It does make sense in Ira.
Right. In Ira, I mean, the ninjas are doing good just because of the value that they have, and they can hold so many cards. So you're able to swing and just ping away that damage and I think that's why they're still going into wizard, is if what it sounds like is if you're running a top ninja deck in Blitz, you're going to run 4 null runes. So you're not going to have any of your pieces.
Yeah.
But you're going to spend 1 card to do all your swings, possibly a second. And then you're still going to be holding usually 2 blues to block all the null rune. And if you're blocking 4 of it, it's very hard to push 4 to hit those triggers on a wizard. And the triggers on the wizard, like your sonic booms, your reverberates, your lessons and lavas, that's where you're going to push in the extra damage. That's where that huge turn is coming in. So anytime a person drops hand, it just allows that wizard player to have all the amazing triggers hit at the same time.
I really like Benji, honestly, like looking at with the 4 null rune. Like, it's like, I should have known going into it. That's my first time that I ran my Benji list into a wizard, because I've played Jason's wizard and stuff before, but that was a new list as of 2 streams ago, and this was my first time playing it into wizard since I built it, and I didn't have like null rune in my deck list, so I added that. I only had the 2, but with 4 in it, I feel like I like that matchup actually. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I would actually
have 1, maybe 2. I only need 2 cards in hand. The other 2 I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run it into you before Saturday, so you're gonna have to make time for that, because
oh yeah, for sure,
that does make a huge difference with Ninja. And I would imagine that most of the players are gonna be smart enough that they're not gonna go low on resources in the wizard match. If they're in the tournaments, they're starting to experience enough wizards. So, I mean, it's, for me as a wizard player, I'm just gonna be holding for my Stern to Forks so that I can push 12 damage turns. And try to block everything else until I can set up for that turn, and then I'll take a hit so that I can push through a huge amount of damage. That's how I'm looking at those, and it's just a matter of how quick I can cycle through my deck to get to that point.
Yeah. Was there anything in that tournament or any recent tournaments that like surprised you guys?
I have
Rangers sneak top 3 or anything like that?
No, so Tower 9, I believe, is the name, who did a write-up and who responded to my questions, because I was upset I missed that tournament. I really wanted to play in it. I like the way Cloak and Dagger runs their tournaments. So it was, or Cloak and Blast, or Cloak and Dagger. That's the old movie from the 80s. Sorry. I really like the way they run their tournaments. So I just asked if anybody has it, and it's Tower number 9 who responded. He did a write-up on it and Twitch streamed some of the games, but he took Kasai to the tops,
Mhm.
and in the semifinals lost to Ira, who's Dragon Lotus, who I've played Dragon Lotus, and I believe I split with him when we played a couple months ago. I think I beat him in Swiss, and then he beat me in the semifinals. I believe, because I know I've played this Ira deck before. So
Mhm.
if that Ira deck gets on top of a Wizard, it's tough. But the only surprise is, because I haven't played any Blitz tournaments, we haven't played any Blitz tournaments, to see Kasai up there. We expected it to be there just from playing Blake's list. So I guess it's not a surprise as much as it's just something I haven't seen to this point.
Yeah, I think the trick with Blitz is, like, when you look at Blitz versus Classic Constructed, I think with Blitz, it's the heroes who seem to fare the best are the heroes who can run really lean on resources, so
Mhm.
that way they don't lose turns. Because I think that's the thing we've talked about a lot with, like, when you talk about the difference between Classic Constructed and Blitz is, if you're looking at the meta in Blitz, it's typically really efficient decks that can
Yeah.
run low to the ground, and a lot of them go wide. Other than Wizard, like Wizard wants to have these big blowout turns, but most of them are decks that are going wider versus taller,
Mhm.
because tall takes setup. It's like, you see decks like Ira, you see decks like Benji, you see a deck like Kasai, and those are decks that all, like, when you look at them, they're super resource efficient decks, and they tend to go wider. So it's 2-2-2 or 2-2-3 or 2-3-2, and they're just punching a lot of, like, these attacks in multiple times to try and pull more cards out of hand. Because
Mhm.
what you can do then is, hopefully you can have one turn where maybe you go extra wide and force your opponent to block it up to try and just not lose the game. And what
Mhm.
ends up happening is they have that magical moment where you just absolutely rip the tempo of the game from being like, it's a little back and forth, but I feel like I'm a little on top of it, to being like, I'm in complete control, because they played it, they had to skip a turn. Because, like, this is a, like, Blitz is so unique in that if you lose a turn, you basically lose the game. Like, you're
Yeah.
probably not getting control back.
And tall just, I think, is almost an auto lose to Wizard, which will be in most
Yeah.
Blitz format. So you just
I mean,
can't.
you don't see. I mean, how many Guardians and how many Rune Blades are in there? Like none.
Not a lot
basically.
right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will
Yeah.
change, and people will start figuring out some good setups on that. So I mean,
Gotta play that Bronson's Blood Merca list, right? Just
Yeah.
block it up
Yeah.
and hit him with the hammer.
I will say, going into, and we'll segue into my third M of the night, and that's Monarch. So with Monarch coming, hopefully, in with Meta Talk, we want to be able to report on tournaments in this podcast. It's a big part. That's why we legitimately got started in doing these podcasts, is because we wanted to play in tournaments and talk about the tournaments and talk about what we saw, how we played. So hopefully going forward this year, we'll have more of that type of talk,
Yeah.
and we'll have
Yeah.
more of it as our experience in the game, so that we can speak to what happened. So hopefully in the next one, I can either report how everybody tech for Wizard and I got my ass kicked, or nobody tech for Wizard and I kicked some ass. We'll see where, or it might be somewhere in the middle. But
Could be in between.
Monarch, here's my one thing I was thinking about that would be cool. So I think we all like to speculate. We've done it a
Mhm.
bunch of times on Monarch. Here's what I want. I want an amazing attack for each class, like the attack that you want so bad, but then they give you a 4 block on the bottom. It's not a defense reaction. It's like a wizard attack action, or a, some type of weapon attack, some sort of attack on that card that's really, really good attack, has an awesome effect, but they
Mhm.
also give you 4 block. I want another, because I feel like there's going to be more thinking moments now with what they're saying. The pitch is going to change. So I think that would just give another thinking moment in the
Mhm.
game of, do I need to do this for, or this is such a good attack, That's kind of one of my cool wants, or I don't even know if it's a want, just something cool to see. And with pitch changing, do you think they're gonna up the pitch? That there'll be a 4 pitch?
Here's I guess here's my question is, my question would be, will they go the other way? Because the 3 pitch, it's on every card, it looks the same, it's filled in or not filled in. So to add a 4th would be weird. Will there be a card with, like, 0 pitch?
Ooh,
So,
that'd
like,
be
a card has no pitch value, but that's your cost for it being incredible. it's right. Instead of a 4 block, they give you, it's like, this is it. This is like the Mac Daddy attack for your class, but it has 0 pitch value. So if you draw into it, and like you can't pitch to nothing, right? Pitch a 0 pitch card. They would obviously have to give us an FAQ on that. But if they give you a card that can't be pitched for resources because it's a 0 pitch card, and then that's the FAQ says it can't be pitched for nothing, it just has no, or they just fill the dot in. So it's nothing. There is no pitch value, but it's an incredible attack. Or better yet, what if it has no block, no pitch, but it's like a crazy attack?
See, that's such an interesting deck building moment, because when I was building Cheyenne, do you know how I built the deck? How I started? I looked at the bottom right corner. If it had a 3 in it, it made a consideration. If it had a 2, it could go F itself, because that's how I built the first one, was all 2s, and you can't have all.
You made that mistake with both Shyana and with Cavdane. You're like, never again am I running all 2 blocks. It's too
it's horrible. So I just, my mind's spinning when they say the pitch is going to be revolutionary. What is going to change in it? I mean, is there cards that you can block and then they go into your pitch? I mean, there's so much. I don't know. My head spins just thinking about how you revolutionize the whole pitch mechanic.
They could go so many different ways with it, like revolutionizing. Why does that sound wrong? Yeah, revolutionizing. Is that right?
Words escape sometimes.
So I don't know. It sounds right. I think it's real.
I thought it, but it doesn't sound right in my brain anymore. But
revolutionating.
Revolutionating. The pitch could mean it could mean that there's cards where when you pitch them, you play them. I don't even know. There's so many things that my brain won't let me pick one. Like,
one of the things that could be like a parallel thing this is something that even has come relatively recently in like the Dragon Ball game, is there are certain mechanics that require you to do certain things with cards. They have to go from the battle area to the discard pile to your drop. And certain cards say when this card is removed, put it in the warp. So it can't fulfill a cost of something that requires a card to go to the drop. So is it possible that there are certain cards that have pitch value that at the end of the pitch just go to your discard pile, like to your graveyard, or go to your banish, versus it manipulates the end location of a card.
Yeah. There's so many ways they can take that.
Or if it just has like an effect that's triggered off of what you do with it. Pitch this card, like it has a 3 resource pitch.
Like an eye.
Like it has a 3 resource pitch, but at the end of it, if you place it in your like banish area, you can play it on your next chain link or something. Like it has some weird interaction with like what you do with it after the pitch. If you don't put it under to get it cycled back in, you can there's an alternate use or something, an alternate interaction. Or after this card is pitched, place it in your arsenal. Like that, like a card like that could be super valuable to like certain classes. Like if Ranger, one way that you could help Ranger out, I think, is if you had an arrow that when it was pitched for resource, it got placed into your arsenal at the end of turn, because it would let you set up another turn and almost be like a rapid fire arrow. Pitch it for resource, end of turn, arsenal it, because then it triggers your your cross wrap. It triggers your ability to like play it from there if you just don't have an arrow. It would allow for like more flexible deck building where you wouldn't have to worry about losing a turn because you just didn't draw an arrow, right? Like you didn't find an arrow.
I'm wondering, my other concern with Monarch coming out is, so right now when you're playing these Blitz and constructed games, Crucible is a huge, I mean, you need to have Crucible to be competitive. So when Monarch hits, are these cards, I have to imagine that you're still going to need Crucible cards. So do you think they'll just go right from Monarch back into Crucible because they have such a big delay before their next print run needs, that they're just going to run out another set of Crucible? Because Crucible is so important to the players. And for the longest time, the singles were super inexpensive, but now your Majestics are really creeping up, even your non-foil. So I wonder if they're going to, after Monarch, re-throw Crucible out because of how important Crucible was to Wraith and Arcane Rising.
I think one thing that could help too is again, and it goes back. It feels like we're harping. I'm just trying to bring it back to like a realistic thing. Is I think sometimes people just don't. They have cards sitting and they don't sell them in the marketplace because they don't know what they're worth. They don't know if people want them. So like people don't want to post just random posts because the marketplace isn't super active. And if you had some more tournaments and things start to kind of pick up steam, if you do TTS tournaments, in-person tournaments, all those things start to slowly creep up again. If you won't see more posts where people are going, hey, want to buy, and then post like 3 or 4 things. And then as a result, people are like, hey, people are buying this stuff. I can just post a sales post with it. And maybe the activity in the marketplace stabilizes the market just because people start to want things. Because right now, like people want for collectability, not necessarily playability, because there are a lot of people who are just playing on TTS because they don't have a place to play them in person, or they don't even know if their local store is going to pick the game up. So there's no reason to buy a deck if you don't know if you're ever going to play it because the prices are a little crazy right now. So if people wanted the cards, then more people would sell the cards. If more people sell the cards, then you have a supply and demand that naturally goes, everybody's selling these things, they're everywhere. No one's going to buy them for $50. They have to be 30. And then that will immediately stabilize the market and push the prices down.
Yeah, I think right now one of the problems is like that secondary market for like the competitive or for the player. The player's secondary market does not exist yet.
No,
It's just a collector's secondary market, which is
so people just
like
have them. Like people just have.
Anyways, yeah, exactly.
People just have binders full.
And when that player's secondary market exists and like takes form, that like stuff will level out. People will sell cards that they're not playing in their classes. Like there's going to be more of that back and forth because like right now I'm kind of just holding on to like my Majestics from other classes because I'm not going to sell them. I'm not going to go through the effort to like sell them right now, like unlimited random $3 Majestic, whatever it is. Like I would rather just save it. Like maybe I play that class, maybe I want it.
Yeah,
but it's like when it's competitive.
I think that's
if mech is doing really well, and I like you can bet when those cards hit $14, $15, like I'm gonna sell my mech stuff because I'm not playing mech. But now it's worth it for me to sell it, and then someone's gonna be able to buy it that does play mech, and that all like cross levels. Like what like,
I think
desires.
There's
so
yeah. I think honestly, like one thing that as a result of what you just said, I think one of the things that my brain immediately went to too is this idea of there are a lot of people who probably have a ton of excess random cards, but they don't want to sell them because they're not playing locally, so they don't even know what they want to play. Like I don't want to sell all my Warrior stuff and then find out, man, I love Warrior. Like I sold all of my Warrior stuff because I thought I was going to love Ranger. I thought I was going to love like there's that too. That's hard. Like when a new set drops, like when we play Dragon Ball, we do a ton of play testing. We proxy things, we turn cards backwards, we put in other cards for cards because we want to test before sets come out because we want to know what we're looking for when we open boxes and we can trade one another. And like, up to this point, that's like people don't know exactly what they want to play because they're not playing locals. They're like, I mean, this class looks fun. Like I bought a bunch of mech stuff, and then when I played it, I didn't really enjoy the play style. And then I played Ranger, and I was like, oh, this is it, baby. Like this is living. If I'm not playing Warrior, I'm playing Ranger. So then I had to go out and like hunt all the Ranger stuff that I traded and sold away. And I was like, man, I was an idiot. I was so stupid. Why did I do that?
I just lost my train of thought here.
No, it's all good. We can reel it back into Monarch. So so the pitch thing, right? So like
Monarch.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before we, found ourselves back on the secondary market, as we are wont to do, apparently.
So, to Blake's point, when the reason a lot of people might be holding cards also is because when Monarch comes out, the way classes may or may not change. A person may play what they're currently playing just because all of a sudden, well, this does something totally different. And to that point, I will say, please give us a spoiler, something to taste, just a taste,
right? And not even us specifically. Just give the community a spoiler, like
just put a random card out and be like, it doesn't even have to have any text. Just make our minds go wild. Find the most random card from the set. Just throw it out there. Be like, here it is, and just let people go crazy and let the excitement go.
I'm gonna go on the record. I was thinking about this, and like, it is gonna be something. It is gonna be an attachment or an extra slot or a card that you like tuck under. Like I could actually honestly picture like a card that you got your leader slot, and then like you get to take one card and put it underneath it, and then like just like leave a little bit dangling out, and like it just adds another attribute and lets you add in, you know, like it says on the bottom of the card, it says secondary class, warrior, or whatever it could be, you know. I think that there's going to be attribute mixing.
I'm 100% on board, and I've said it many times. Your trait class or whatever you characteristic, 100%.
Characteristic. It's character. I was thinking about it, like you were saying it last podcast, and I was like, why does that sound off? Why? And then I was editing, and I was like, he says characteristic every time. It's characteristic.
It's a characteristic.
Characteristic. I'll just edit.
I'm just gonna call.
There you go. I'm just gonna edit over the top. It's just gonna be my voice saying characteristic every time.
You should do that.
And just say, hey, at the beginning, just have a note. Just be like, hey, heads up, Jason can't say characteristic. He calls it charistic, and it bothers me, so I edited over it.
100%. Leave that part in.
All right. Anyways, so go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's what I was going to say. Trait. I'll call it trait. Then I don't have to worry about what words I'm saying. So,
their class.
Yeah, the class. Something else. I'm on board with that. I almost think it has to be there, just from a 306 card pool.
Oh yeah, with
I think it would. I would be interested to see. I think the thing that in Monarch I'm most interested to see that people speculated about in Crucible is some sort of shielding. Like some sort of like you can, if you have a one-handed weapon, if a character can somehow wield some sort of shield as well, or if there's like a weapon shield combo where maybe now Dorinthia doesn't. If you want to play warrior, you can play the Dawnblade with Dorinthia, which obviously is broken and no one would change that. But is there an opportunity to play like something like a saber that's a smaller weapon with lower damage output, but then you also get to wield a shield that has some sort of wear or rust or beat, like some damage counter on it that just soaks more damage? So you can play a more control variant of some of these characters.
You have a Guardian Warrior where you're like, I'm gonna swing with my Dawnblade and swing again, and then I have these 3 potions over here. I'm just gonna break them and crush for another 11. Just 30 damage. We're just gonna put out this turn. No big deal.
It took me 7 turns to build up to, and I have 3 life now. But yeah, I'll do 30 damage to you. No, I still stand by that. What I want. I don't know. I want weapons that are like Captain America's like stabby shields, like the I want like
block stick.
I want like a Solanan brute that's like shirtless gladiator looking with like the white just beefy and just like rocking those things with like the golden lay that you see. I want
a chain mace. I want one chain.
He would be I think like the Crippling Crush artwork, a Bravo, like a character that looks like him in Crippling Crush, where he's just like shredded and almost like flying forward, but with armor on the bottom and like almost like a gladiator helmet on top, like some sort of epic knight helmet.
Yeah.
Like you could totally get that from Solana.
The angle guy, I want him to be Doot, just like they said before.
Dude, we're staying with what if they made that card, like they made like the guy and like he had flavor text and it just said Doot. That'd be great.
I am Doot.
Absolutely. I mean, even when me and Mark were playing at my house last Saturday, we still went back to the Doot the Brute. I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I think Monarch obviously has a chance to mix some stuff up. I hope there are things that also. I mean, I believe that they will. The game has slowly evolved as it's existed, and that's been really cool. I just hope that we don't have a situation in this game, which I don't think we will. I'm just saying the only thing I don't want to see is either like class power creep or hero power creep to the point that heroes that you've like fallen in love with through the first couple sets become irrelevant in their class because a new hero is released that's just so much better, it makes them irrelevant. Because I think that's what is cool about this game is every game has, or at least a lot of games, like people love to play a specific hero or a specific leader or a specific character because it's like, that's my favorite character. When I play Dragon Ball Super, I always want to play the Trunks character because I love Trunks as a character. I've just unfortunately never found like a good one in the game. But in this game, like I don't just like Dorinthia, the like warrior hero. I like Dorinthia, the backstory. I love the lore of Dorinthia. So for me,
Mhm.
I would actually really hate to see a warrior come out that like power creeps her and that is better than her universally, because I want to continue to play Dorinthia. I would either have you give me more classes or just allow me to have something that intermixes with like her current setup that can make her better, so I can continue to play her until she, one day hits living legend status. That's the only way I want to see a character like power crept out of this game, is living legend status.
Oh yeah, and then you can just have like legend battles, like where all the legend, like the
Yeah.
characters that are crept out. It's like you can't play them competitively. So now that they've power crept all the other cards,
Mhm.
it's like you're playing a legend battle and you're pulling
Yeah.
Dorinthia back with like the set 7 warrior cards that are totally
Yeah.
busted, but like, and then you're just dueling it out like demigods. That'd be badass. I'd like that.
Yeah.
So not to like prolong this, but if you guys have thoughts, you can add it afterwards too. But I would say that the only thing that I am worried about, the things that I don't want to see from Monarch, that like if I saw it I'd be sad, is if they didn't have some sort of characteristic blending or mixing, some way to like incorporate other cards and classes combined with 4 new classes. So like if they didn't have that option to mix and blend characteristics and then they also released 4 new classes, I would be kind of sad. That would be like, oh god, that sucks a little bit. But I would love to see 4 new classes if you like it comes out with, the 12 characteristic cards that you can take, like, oh, you can be a ninja and assassin and take 10 assassin cards. Like I would love to see that type of thing, but
I will be disappointed if they do not do the same thing they did with the Tunic and make Shiana a non-foil, non-rainbow, make her as plain Jane as you want, majestic or legendary, but just give me a chance to play her at an affordable price point, because I will keep getting my face smashed in playing her until I can figure out something that works. But I think it's a cool character and I want to continue trying.
Yeah, I mean, I think my concern is just the whole, if they don't have some way, to Dane's point, if they don't have some way to blend classes, I mean, even just giving us 4 new classes is a little concerning, because the card pool is you already have so much like division between characters, where if I open a box as a warrior and ranger player, if I open a box and all of my majestics except one are outside of my class cards, that's disappointing to me. I have you guys to trade with, but I try to think about the fact that if there are 12 classes, there's no class mixing, and that's what it is, I think your average player is going to be turned off, and that concerns me, because I do think about somebody who just buys a box. I don't want them to be in a situation where it's like them and one other friend who both buy a box, and they end up with like 2 class cards that they can each use, and then they just have a ton of excess.
I go back and forth. Like in my head, I imagine a world where they release those cards that you can tuck under your leader that gives you a secondary class. And I get so excited at deck building options. Like I get amped. I'm like, if that is announced and that's spoiled, I am buying tons of Monarch and I'm going to get so excited. And if they don't give me that and it's just separate still, like very distinct and like the new game changing final piece to make the game what they always pictured it, is like not something like that, or it's something that like just stays really distinct, but it's like the shield, like, oh, the shield is the game changing thing that we were talking about, I would be so depressed. Like it's like it's so varying. It's like you give it to me and I'm extremely happy, or you don't, and I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm buying ninja singles, I guess, for the rest of this game. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think that's why I'm all in. I made the decision, like I'm all in. They're releasing it this set. I'll commit to calling that, because if not, I'll be sad anyways, and I won't care about being wrong.
So going forward, our next podcast, two things. We'll be reporting on a tournament, which is amazing. So I'm happy about that. The other thing is here in Minnesota, I think right now there's probably at least 6 of us that could get together in person. Not really a local yet, no big prize, but just get in person to play next week. So we're trying to get new players out that don't know the game and teach them. But if they don't show up, there's been several people that responded, and we have a place now that's going to carry it, and that will let us play right now, doing all the safety precautions and so forth. So that is super exciting. if we get 10, I'm probably gonna bring stuff, and I'm probably gonna either live stream or record it while we're
Next
there.
time. Yeah.
Show our system so we can share that with the world. I will be recording all my games in the tournament on Saturday, and you'll see them on this channel and my channel. And we'll just anything else going forward 2021 that you guys want to shout out that we're going to cover?
Nope. Good year so far. Starting off good. It's all good.
Well, we look forward. We already have our first planned. We're doing more crossovers. We're having some guests. We're excited. The plan is, unless something changes in a couple weeks, our next podcast we'll have a guest. Andrew from Dice Commando is planning to join us. We're excited about that. We're going to try and keep doing that. So if you are a content creator and you make content for this game and you want to do a crossover episode or something like that, reach out to us. We would love to do it. We would love to jump onto other people's casts, because right now the biggest thing is we just want to continue. Like, we're getting to that point where I think the game is getting ready with releases, and the potential to start doing in-person play here in the States, hopefully in the next few months, means that we're getting ready for the moment where Fab comes to the forefront of the gaming world in the US, and we can hopefully overtake some other games, and we'll be a great local scene, and we'll be all over the country. And hopefully that just means that we'll be able to share the game that we really enjoy with other people. So we want to make sure that there's a good base of content creators who cover the US scene and cover locals around here. So if we can work with anybody who's doing it, reach out to us. We would love to do it. We're looking forward to it. We're excited to do it because we just want to see Fab grow. We love this game, and we're excited about the future. We're excited for 2021 and Fab. Everything else, I have my reservations about 2021 in general.
Also worth noting, so to your point, prior to the podcast, we were talking, and we're seeing new content creators coming out of the woodwork for this game right now. Someone new is putting out something almost daily, it seems like, and posting, which is awesome. But definitely want to help establish that core of content creators that we saw. And I always go back to Destiny for this, because Destiny had such a good close-knit group of 7 to 8 content creators that they would be at all the major events across the country. They'd have representatives that would show up and go and play, and they'd have bounties on them, and they'd coordinate the after parties and stuff like that. That was always really fun to go to. So definitely looking for people that want to participate in the community, in the content creator community. That's something that we all really want. So like Blake said, reach out to us if you want to do crossovers. But if it's not your thing and you just want to dude, I just want to put out my gameplay, that's cool. Go nuts. More content is not going to hurt the game. I think it's just, if anything, it's just going to help spread the word. So
yeah, I was just going to say, hope our after parties don't burn the building down, because it's going to be the Outcast after party.
I think a bounty mat would be super fun, just because I think they actually, so they do that, some of the DBS guys do that, where they're if you beat somebody on the team, they'll make a big deal out of it. They if you beat Justin Rios at a tournament, they you get something for it. And it's it would be cool if, and maybe we make the little poker chips are super cheap.
So what I think would be cool is it's 2 chips. They're all the same chips. If you beat one of us, you get a chip. We just give you a chip.
Yeah.
If you're going up against one of us, you can put your chip on the line, and if you do and win, you get a mat.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
So you got to win 2 matches.
Yeah, basically you have to beat 2 of us.
And you could save chips for future events to hold your chip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just if you have to beat one of us to get in there, and then you can match up against us, chip on the line to win the mat. And then if you lose, we get to take the chip back. If you win, you get the mat.
Chip in a chair.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this week. Make sure to check out TopDeckTCG for all your singles needs. Make sure to like and subscribe and get notifications for when we have new gameplay and live streams coming out. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.